Hey, this is Matt once again. What about another video? There's another paid request. This time for Greg B. Thank you so much for that. And for those interested in requesting pretty much any type of videos, feel free to send it either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both links are down below in the info box under the video. And this is for the first two episodes of Everybody Hates Chris, which is interesting considering Chris Rock was definitely in the news earlier this year with the slap heard around the world. And Chris Rock is one of those guys that, I've liked some of his stand-up, I've liked some of his movie appearances, like Dogma. A lot of the movies he starred in weren't the greatest, like Down to Earth and Head of State was there. But this was a show he helped worked on, he was a producer on, he narrated. It's kind of like The Wonder Years in a way. But if The Wonder Years were on a black family and it took place in the 80s. I think The Wonder Years took place in the 60s, I believe. And Chris Rock narrates. It's kind of a loose translation of his childhood, so to speak. I know it was on for 4 years, and I think it went from UPN to CW. When UPN and WB were kind of gone, it just became the CW. And you have the actors Terry Crews as the dad. You have Tichina Arnold as the mom. You get Tiquan Richmond as the young Chris. He has a younger sister and a younger brother, but the younger brother's taller than him. And from time to time you hear Chris Rock narrating some fun lines in there, like, "My mother had 100 recipes for whooping ass." And I thought the actors, like the mom and the dad, like Terry Crews, they played their roles fairly well. And it's not a sitcom. Like it's more comedic, of course, but at the same time, I don't want to say it's conflicting dramatic tones. It doesn't, but I don't know if I want to say it's more real, but it doesn't sugarcoat certain things as well, with little instances. Like he's the only black kid at school, and there were some who were giving him, not all, but some, calling him Bojangles, and then Chris says, "Oh yeah, I was tap dancing on your mom's jaws last night." And he said, "Oh yeah, that kid picked on me later on, he almost got stomped to death at a DMX concert." Rest in peace, DMX. Or even at the final bit of the episode where the dad's saying some things to him, being nice, and Chris says, "He never said I love you, but he came home," and for folks back then, to have a dad coming home was his way of saying I love you. Which, I mean, it doesn't go further to make it soap opera like, but that line can make you think a lot of things of, maybe there were a lot of people whose dads did leave or never came home or left or cheated or abandoned. There's a lot of fathers did abandon their kids, and it makes you think those emotions and those feelings, but at the same time it doesn't do a 5-minute study on it, because it's still at the end of the day a comedy show. I thought the actors did their jobs well. It went at a good pace. I mean, these are like 20-some minute episodes. He does meet this other kid, bit of a nerdy, well, not nerd, a bit more wimpy white kid. Diary of a Wimpy Kid would be him. Chris meets him at school, and they kind of become friends. There's a bit where there's a school fight, and he thinks, "Oh, I'll just do this," and someone will break it up, but no one does. And the music starts playing, "Ebony and Ivory." It starts playing that song. I would say, I mean, the first impression, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't too bad of a show. And even episode 2, he's daydreaming about this girl next door. and everywhere he looks, keeps seeing her. And he thinks it's this person, but it's an old woman macing him. You have to take my stuff. What? What am I doing? Why are you macing me? I'm gonna take your stuff. What? And there's some funny. Both these episodes had some funny moments. Like, he finds that the girl he likes is kissing his younger, taller brother, and then he fantasizes like he, quote, slapped the black off of him. So there's an ambulance that arrives and brings him, and there's like a guy puts up like a bag, like a plastic bag with the black. He slapped the black off him. I didn't expect that, and that got a chuckle out of me. And some lines, like there's some neighborhood women that come by, and there's a line where Chris Rock's narrating saying, "My father didn't like other women in the house. It's like having a gun in the house. Even with the safety on, someone didn't get killed." Because he doesn't know anyone's in there, Terry Crews, so he thinks it's his wife and spanks her, but it's another woman. So, oh my god, I had no problem. See, nowadays it'd be, "I'm going to sue you, that's sexual harassment," and the whole episode would be in a courtroom, and he'd be labeled a sex offender. So, yeah, again, how times have changed. But now Terry Crews kind of thinks about her, but at the same time he's still a very loyal man to his wife and woman. Although the mom says to the dad, "If that happens again, someone's getting stabbed." But it did have that. It does have that Wonder Years vibe to it. I think if you like that show, you will like this show. Now I don't know if I would go further in watching the show. It's hard for me to get into a lot of sitcom. It's not a sitcom, but it's hard for me to get into comedy shows nowadays. I don't know what it is. Just like the shows I gravitate nowadays is more. I mean, maybe I'll go back and watch Elf, which that's nostalgia. But I'm looking over like either it's like X-Files or the older good ones, or action like CSI Miami or the A-Team, or it's something different like Insomnia with Dave Attell or Dirty Jobs with Mark Rowe. I mean, I don't mind Home Improvement, which I grew up with that show, but I don't watch a lot of comedy shows nowadays. And I mean, this isn't nowadays, but I don't know, just something about it. Maybe because of the limitations of a network, you could only do a certain amount of things, or because it's 20 minutes, there's a certain structure you gotta uphold because you only have 20 minutes to tell your story. And for the most part with these shows, in other shows I liked it, but here is kind of standalone, if that makes sense. Like, unless you have a two-part, I don't know how to put it. But I would say this is definitely not a bad show. It's competently made. I don't know if it'll be utilized later, but I'm surprised that I didn't hear like a lot more 80s soundtrack during it. Because it takes place in Brooklyn 1982, I just assume, maybe because I'm so used to that nowadays, like if they did a show now that was Brooklyn 1982, every 5 minutes it'd be this song and this song and this song from the 80s. So I'm so like used to that in a show that tries to do that nowadays that I assume this would be, which is why the Ebony and Ivory surprised me in the first episode. And also, like, if this show, it'd be like oh, here's an old can of Pepsi or Mountain Dew or something, and really hone in. But at the same time, back then, it's not like, oh, I got my Mountain Dew. You know, that type of thing. So maybe in a way that makes this come off a bit more natural. Maybe at the end of the day, I guess I'm just not that interested in seeing the early days of Chris Rock. Like, if this was this type of show and Chris Rock was the dad, although I liked Terry Crews, if Chris Rock was the dad and I don't know, it was more about, I think Chris Rock is talented. I wish he was more of the show than narration form. Which, I mean, I know wouldn't make sense just as about his early days as a kid, but maybe that's the thing. I don't really care about his early days as a kid. Maybe it's just the concept is a concept. It's why I never thought to watch the show in the first place. The concept just didn't interest me about, you know, a kid, early days. I mean, I didn't even grow up much with the Wonder Years. Like, the comic shows I watched was, again, Home Improvement and dealing with adults and stuff. And maybe as I grow older, go back to watch a show about a little kid. I don't know, it just doesn't do much for me. But at the same time, I can admit these were easy watching material. And that's the thing, it was a bit hard to think of what to do for this review, other than what I just did for the past 11 minutes. As confused as that is, I know. But this was decent. This is, again, it's just nowadays, I don't know, just watching, even movie-wise, something centered on a kid is really my first, second, or third choice for a product, if that makes sense. Maybe I'm just getting too old, I don't know. But yeah, not bad at all. So, with that said, thanks for watching, take care, and we will see you guys later. Bye-bye.